Carlos Ramirez, owner of NVS Audio in Roselle, New Jersey. Today we finally get to talk about full review of the Diamond Audio MDHU14. It's their factory replacement radio for the 14 through 23 Harley Davidson Street Glide and Road Glide. Radio's got a lot of cool features. We were able to thoroughly check the radio. We had some issues with the first unit that we got to test. It's not a full production unit. It's obviously a prototype, so they overnighted me another one. And this one passed with flying colors. The software for the unit's not complete yet. They promised me that all the features will be functioning 100% by the time the unit's released in a few weeks. And all the main features work. There's a couple of things that make this head unit different than other head units on the market. Everybody's asking me, is this better than this unit? Is it going to be better than this unit? It's not better, it's not worse, it's different. So we will definitely be stocking this head unit, but we're also going to be stocking the other head unit from the other company. The Diamond Audio has a cult-like following, and I've already had a bunch of Diamond Audio fanatics reach out to me, and they're going to be buying the unit, and they're asking me if I like it. So the same goes for all the other head units. My personal favorite head unit is the factory head unit that comes on the 19 through 23. I like the GTS radio. We added DSP to every single bike that we work on in the shop, so we can make the GTS do everything that we want it to do. We flash it, we get CarPlay, we get Android Auto, we get flat signal. So instead of a 10, 13, 14 band EQ unit, we use 31 band that comes, but that's just us here. For people that want a simple solution, and especially if you have a 14 through 18, this is definitely an upgrade. Because those head units, there's no way to get CarPlay or Android Auto. So this is a huge upgrade. And then even on the GTS, where you have hardwired CarPlay and Android Auto, this unit has wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. We'll go over the features. So the things that make this unit different than any other head unit in the market, the two things that make this shine are going to be, and then we're only talking about units that are currently out, not units that are going to be coming out. This is a unit that's going to be available in a couple of weeks. So before spring gets here, these units will be shipping, and anybody that has them on pre-order will get them before the spring. So the two things that make this unit really shine, or actually three things: built-in DSP, internal idatalink RR module. So the current solution to get data to communicate and handshake with the radio and the bike is the external RR1 or RR2 from idatalink. The issue with using the RR, the radio is waterproof, but the RR is not waterproof. So we haven't had any get water damage yet, but I can see that being a potential problem. Our biggest issue is we like to put all the amplifiers in the fairing, and then having an external RR module is just one extra box we have to hide, one extra plug. So having the RR internal saves space, and there's no chance of it getting wet because it's inside the unit. So it's a home run for us. We love that part. Secondly, we always do a lot of times we do multiple amplifiers in the fairing. So we're talking 8 channels of amplification. When you start with a weak RCA signal and you start splitting it up, you end up getting low voltage and you have to turn the gain up higher. So they made a very bold claim with the Diamond Audio radio. They claim 5 volts per RCA unclipped. They got it, they did it. The other hot feature would be, so we have the DSP, we have the internal RR, and 5 volts of unclipped signal per RCA. That's a lot. So we're talking 30 volts of RCA combined with all 6 RCAs. That's super duper impressive. So it's got wireless Android Auto, wireless CarPlay. There were some rumors saying that the Android Auto is not licensed, and I asked Ryan and his team, and they guaranteed me that Android Auto has been licensed. I have no idea how they got it licensed, considering Rockford wasn't able to get it licensed, but it's on the unit. So now, I doubt Diamond Audio would do something that's illegal or violates licensing, because then they would have to recall all the units. I could see a no-name brand company doing that. I don't see Diamond Audio doing that. I brought it up to them. They guaranteed me that it's certified and it's licensed. I believe them, and it works. So that's a non-issue, I guess. So anybody installs these radios, even the factory radio, GT and the GTS radio, there's a little gap, especially on the Road Glide, at the very bottom lip. So when you install the radio, whether you install the aftermarket radios or you install the factory GT or the GTS radio, there is a gap, especially on the Road Glide along the bottom lip. So this is their solution, and it comes in the box. It's a thick gasket that goes on the face of the radio before you install it. You could choose to install it or choose not to install it. This gasket closes up that gap pretty good. This is something that is currently exclusive to Diamond Audio. 6 programmable auxiliary outputs. So if you have air ride or center stand, and where 90% of the people install the switches under the seat by the exhaust, you have to reach under, you can't really see what you're doing. So what's nice about this, and I'm a fan of hardwired switches, I don't really trust software switches, so me personally, what I would do is I would have the hardwired switches as it comes on the bike, but I would run a second set up to this radio and run some micro relays, so that way this would be my first go-to, so I can raise and lower the center stand from the touchscreen, I would raise and lower the air ride from the touchscreen, and if for some reason the unit fails or the radio doesn't power up, or then I can go to my manual switches that are hidden under the seat and they're harder to get to, but the manual switches never break. So it would be really, really nice. We did the same thing in when we were doing a lot of Jeep Wranglers, and then the companies were offering the touchscreen interface. We always had a backup hardwired, but that's a super nice feature. You could set it for timed, you could set it for latch, so you could actually figure out how long it takes your bike to air out. Let's say it's 9 seconds, program the radio a little bit longer, program it for 10 seconds, hit the button. When you pull up, it will automatically hold it and then release. Super nice feature. It's a nice extra built into the radio. This radio has a larger heatsink. So the guys over at Diamond told me they added a lot of heatsink to keep the screen cooler, to minimize the chance of the screen going black. They said as the screen heats up, if the screen is not able to dissipate heat, it can increase failures and make the screen go black. That's why they added so much heatsink. Plus on top of that, they added a 10-channel amplifier. So the RCAs are amplified, the speaker levels are amplified, and they're all independent. They claim this is a 10-channel DSP. How they get away with calling it a 10-channel DSP, it's 6 channels for the RCAs, and then the front left, front right, rear left, and rear right are also independent. They can be independently amplified and crossed over and ran through the DSP. So let's say you're running tweeters front and rear. You can use the front and rear speaker outputs of the radio wired to your tweeters, high pass them at 5,000 hertz using the DSP, and then use RCA channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to run your fairing speakers, your lid speakers, and your mid-bass drivers in the saddlebags. It's a full DSP, so you can do a band pass on the mid-bass drivers. You can cut them off at, let's say, 50 and then run them all the way up to 500, whatever you choose to do. You can choose your slope, 6 dB, 12 dB, 24 dB. The only glitch I saw with the DSP was in this model, there was no separate gain adjustments for the channels. So after you set up your crossover slopes, you could add your EQ. You would have to physically adjust the gain on that channel of the amplifier to be able to make, let's say, the fronts play less loud so the backs can catch up. They promised me they would fix this in the firmware before the radio was released, but I just wanted to be transparent, and at the time of my testing, the DSP worked really, really good. You'll see in the video we have it set up with the bike playing, but to set the levels, to set the gains, I had to do it on the amplifier because the level screen was missing inside the DSP menu inside the radio. The DSP worked really, really well. So the reason DSP feature is important for me is we use a DSP on every single bike and car that we deliver here at the shop. So if we do 50 bikes, it's 50 DSPs. So having the DSP included can save the client between $300 and $500. We'll still be able to go in, we'll still be able to set it, we'll still be able to protect the speakers, we'll still be able to make the bike sound the way we want it to sound. So if the client tries to opt to save some money, this is a good way to save money. I would still recommend a full-blown DSP, But on a budget build, especially like a 2-speaker build, it's great to not have to charge the client that extra money and then still have the basic functions where we can go in, set time alignment, set crossover, set EQ, all inside the unit, and then it's non-volatile memory. So when you shut the bike off, or it will all stay in there, all your settings stay saved. If you disconnect the battery, all your DSP settings stay saved. I checked that feature and it worked. So 5-volt RCA. The reason high voltage is so important is if the radio's sending out super high voltage, then you can lower the gain on the amplifier and still achieve maximum RMS power. So low voltage, high voltage setting means low gain settings, which means low noise and distortion and still full output. Internal idatalink Maestro RR module, wireless Android Auto and wireless CarPlay. The gasket for the screen, 6 programmable outputs we talked about. You could even use it to turn your LEDs on and off without drilling holes in your fairing or panels or buying one of those expensive switches. Additional heatsink. It's got a Sirius XM capability. You just use the Sirius XM tuner, the universal tuner, and it plugs right in. One thing that I noticed that I liked, since we weren't using the XM tuner, we didn't have it plugged in, the tile was actually blank. I like that because it annoys me when we're going through the settings menu, we're going through the source menu, and it's showing me sources that I don't have. So this is nice because there's no Sirius hooked up, so that tile doesn't light up. And I don't know, it just bothers me when there's a tile lit up and it's a function I can't use. So I like the fact that it's grayed out when there's nothing connected to it. A feature that I didn't understand until I started using it was the link and unlink feature for the fader. So what it is when you link the fader and then you adjust the fade, it'll fade all the way to the front, all the way back like normal. When you unlink it, you can pick which position you're listening to. This is really important when you're using a DSP because you don't want to send less signal to the rears than the fronts after you have the DSP set up. So with the unlink feature, you can physically send signal to each corner without affecting what's going through the tweeters and without affecting what's going through the mid-bass drivers. So it's not a feature a lot of people would use, but it's nice that they added in there. It gives you a lot more control. This head unit will work with your Bluetooth headset. So if you have a Sena Bluetooth headset, it will work with this unit. It's a really good head unit. It's plug and play. It works good. Has rock solid RCA outputs. It has an it has a EQ for every source. It just worked really, really well. Plays really well. We had it on the bike that we're doing an install on. So since the bike was fully done with the build and mid-bass, we just put the radio on that bike and we were playing it and we had no glitches. The radio works really good. It's really easy to use. The EQ function works really good. The crossover functions work really good. But I'm really excited about the fact that it's got really high voltage RCA outputs. The internal RR is a home run for me. Plus, when I programmed this unit, I literally plugged it into the computer. The computer recognized it instantly. So it comes with a male-to-male USB. You literally plug one side into the unit and one side into the computer, and you're gonna plug it into the same USB that you use as a thumb drive or you plug your phone into. The computer automatically recognized it because I was on the web link page and it saw what it was, it knew what it was, it only gave me one option, Harley Davidson radio. Programmed it, told it the year of the bike, gauges worked, I was able to see left blinker, right blinker, brake lights, intake temperature, RPM, all the standard stuff worked. Really good head unit by a really good company. Really, Ryan answered every phone call I made, and even on Sunday. So Sunday I had a few questions because I was at the shop doing paperwork. He picked up immediately. So Ryan's probably the guy you're gonna be talking to if you have any tech support questions. So he took care of me and answered my questions right away. I'm sure he's gonna take care of you and answer your questions right away. It's a good unit. We're definitely gonna be stocking it here at NVS Audio, and I give it 2 thumbs up. Some quick features I want to go over. I tried my riding gloves, and I was able to use the touchscreen in my riding gloves. I got the screen wet, and I used my fingers with a wet screen, and it worked. Test the outputs, RR. Bluetooth streaming, obviously. Hey Siri worked when I was in CarPlay. It has a camera input. So just like the other units on the market, it's got a camera input. You could use it to display DVR. So if you have a DVR on the bike, and you can display playback when you're going through the DVR, or you can have a permanent front-facing camera or permanent rear-facing camera. You can toggle it on the screen. You can have it come up on the screen while the music's playing in the background and just have the camera show up. We tested that. It's got weather band, and you can turn the weather band on and off. Obviously, it retains thumb controls. It's got a 2.1 amp charger for these larger phones with a big battery, so it can do quick charging. There's independent EQ for each source, so if you have one source that's louder than another, you can set a separate EQ for that. And one of my favorite features is it's got a volume, it's got a gain for each output, so you can literally dial in and make sure that FM plays just as loud as Bluetooth, plays as loud as USB. So super, because if you have a high powered system, you switch from Bluetooth to USB, sometimes the volume difference is a lot and you can blow speakers. So this allows you to adjust your different sources. DSP features time delay, high pass, low pass, and band pass. You can link channels together or separate them, and this will work with boom audio amplifiers. Beautiful gold anodized aluminum body, 6 RCA output, Sirius XM, GPS antenna input, CarPlay wireless, Android Auto wireless, gauges, bike features, global EQ is independent EQ as well, 10-channel built-in DSP. Really good looking unit. Fits Street Glide and Road Glide 14 through 23. So there's our 1000 hertz test tone. We have 1.2 volts. Now let's crank the volume up. And there's our 5 volts unclipped. Nice job, Diamond Audio. So that's one single RCA. You can see it right there. Coming directly off the back of the radio. So we have the lead doing the negative there and the positive there. So just for transparency, I'm gonna have Joshua hold the phone while I put everything on one lead. And we're still at 5 volts. And then to show you that this is truly where it's hooked up, I'm gonna disconnect it here and you're gonna see it go away there. Now we're gonna hook it back up. 5 volts.
so. Make you one board on board. Better, bye. Better, bye. I'm loose. Even better done the para. Tonight in Josie, I'm in Josie. Won't call it for one Josie. I'm not playing with you. I'm again up so. Yeah, you won't capture my soul. I'm again up so. Make you one board on board. Better, bye. Better, bye. I'm loose. Even better done the para. Tonight in Josie, I'm in Josie. Won't call it for one Josie. I'm not playing with you, I'm not joking. My thought I'm almost loaded. Me, you can fly up, but I'm on duty, but I'm on low-key. They want do me, they want do me, but they want do. When you won't want me, when you won't want me, I'm in San Francisco, Jammy. When you won't want me, when you won't want me, I just flew in from Miami. Better, bye, better, bye. I'm loose, even better, young, bye. Pour at the bottle, I wanna level up. When I'm with you, I never get enough. Slow wine, I'm not in a rush. I can hear music when you're here. Tonight we're rolling, party till closing. Since I put the ring on the finger, it's still frozen. Love in slow motion. I wanna feel you over me, yeah. Something magic in your eyes, yeah. Girl, I love the way you ride, yeah. And it happens every time you arrive, that's right. Girl, I want you in my life, yeah. There's a heaven and it's right, yeah. I will never leave your side, yeah. Tonight. When you won't see me, I'm in West London this evening. Giving me the feelings, no I'm not leaving. Till I fly Atlantic speaking. Better, nah, girl I'd rather go find somewhere quiet. You glow, and I get lost here in your eyes. I'ma gain all your soul, girl you just capture my soul. I'ma gain all your soul, make me wanna just take you home.